Hi guys, this is about the counterfeiting industry. What is the counterfeiting industry? Well, it is not a legitimate industry, although industry might imply that is not the case. It is illegitimate industry, but industry it is because it is big. And I will tell you how big it is within a moment. Now, the counterfeiting industry, what is it, what we are talking about? The fake products, famous brands, copies, so to say, substandard copies, which are on sale all around the world, and you may have encountered them yourself in your home country when you ever had a business trip or holiday trip in another country, touristic area. There you find some distribution and you find it open. It is quite in the open. Even here in Spain, at the beach, you will get offered some fake products. So right in the open. That is not the case in Northern Europe. That is quite different here, but the standards are more relaxed in Southern Europe probably. Now, the counterfeiting industry is very organized. It has deep pockets. It is savvy with regard to regulations, with regard to customs, what is going on with enforcement actions in the member states, in the European Union or elsewhere in the US. The counterfeiting industry is not limited to what is coming into Europe or coming into US or coming into Australia. No, it is also, for example, within China, the counterfeiting industry is becoming more and more important. Now, deep pockets, well organized, highly criminalized, savvy with regard to regulations, savvy with regard to distribution, knowing exactly what are the best routes to use from the production area to the final consumption area. So all this is, well, in the knowledge of the counterfeiting industry. But the counterfeiting industry is not like that. It is not only counterfeiting industry and that's it. No, it is very much linked, and there are some studies about it from EU IPO on the website. I give you afterwards the link. There are studies where you know that everything is intertwisted and it is criminal gangs. It is not that, well, that's only some counterfeit goods which are there and some guys are earning some money, but that's it. No, it's not the case. So forget about that. It is like a drug industry. I would say the drugs, the narcotic industry, which is illegitimate industry as well. Some say even it is the fuel of the world economy. I hope this is not the case, because then we are doomed. But it is also an important part of the world economy, and more than one person is making its living on that. But when I tell you it is with regard to the drug industry, it's the kind of organization, meaning that at the production area there are producers within certain regions which are in drug monoculture or which are in production of counterfeit. They don't have many other choices, probably very poor parts were poor areas of countries, and that is the production area. Then you have the middle part, which is the buying from the production, the bringing through customs, then making the distribution, well, not the distribution, the transport to the consumer market, and then again the part of distribution. That is another part of a kind of, well, I wouldn't say mafia-like, but the distribution is still on a different responsibility. So the middle part, these are the gangs which reap the major profit of the illicit industry and are, so to say, the drivers of the traffic, of that traffic. That is one thing. But the second thing, and more importantly, they are intertwisted with any other illicit industry, such as woman prostitution, etc. What you have human trafficking, you have money laundering, you have weapon, the traffic of weapons, the drugs. You have all kind of this is intertwisted, and the criminal gangs, they don't care about the one or the other. They're doing all of it, and they need, so to say, the same knowledge to carry out all of it at the same time. So it is not about, well, this is the segment of counterfeit only. No, that's not the case. So the studies say, and the studies have found, that this is an industry which is very much interlinked into any other of the illicit activities. And it's clear, it's margin. It's about, this is prohibited, so the higher, the more prohibited, the more margin exists. And there is this other studies that the IP intensified industry, that is, for example, the handbag, the fashion area, or the automotive area, or what other areas exist, the watches, they are high margin areas. And the higher the margin of the so legitimate industry is, so multiply by 2, 3, or 4, then you get the margin the counterfeiters are encountering in that industry. How does it sound to you now? Have you shifted a bit your mindset with regard to counterfeit industry? It is something in the beach, they sell some bags and that's it. No, it's not the case. Now, let's see what the damage is. The damage, we have there are studies since 2008, 2009 until this year, and I will make reference to a study from EU IPO, which is from June 2021, so just 1 month ago. And they make reference to previous studies and make an update on what is the situation today. So they are not punctual studies of one day and that's it. No, they are repeatedly done in order to see the trend. So it has been found in previous study, and that is not only EU IPO, that is together with OECD and based on previous studies from the International Chamber of Commerce, and all of them are more or less coherent in their findings. But what do they find? Well, they have, for example, in 2013, the counterfeits have more than 2.5% of the trade in the world. So 2.5% of the trade in the world is counterfeit. 2.5%. How much is that? That is some 461 billion US dollar. Billion with B. So that is 9 zeros, I think. 461 plus 9 zeros. So it's a high amount. It's more or less the amount, the GDP of a middle-sized country like Belgium or Austria. So that was 2013. In 2016, 3 years later, the next study has been commissioned, and it comes to similar results: 509 billion of damage, US dollars, right? 509 billion and 3.3% of the world trade. So again, a quite high number, I would say. This is frightening for the states, less frightening for those companies who are not subject to counterfeit. But for counterfeit, I would like to say everything is subject to counterfeit, depending on the country, depending on the region. You have found probably in your area, there in Africa or whatever, you may find a counterfeit of water. In Europe, we find also everything. Yogurt could be faked from, I don't know from which one, but it could be faked, or business to business items can be faked, which are, for example, brakes for automobiles. This can be and has been faked. Batteries have been faked. Or then maybe, well, the most common obviously are fashion items from the big brands like Michael Kors, Louis Vuitton or Gucci. So the handbags, the typical handbags you might have found elsewhere in the world, and you find them here in Spain as well. Or watches, for example, or shoes, etc., from those who are mostly faked, the items which are mostly faked, also based on that study I will tell you at the end, is footwear, but most of it. Then leather articles, also in a high place. Then electronics is in a high place, and fashion items is in a high place, and watches. I think that would be electronic items. Yeah, that would be those who are mostly subject to fakes. Where does it come from? Well, Southeast Asia is the most suspected country, but again, they are producing 80% of the world goods, so it is normal that the most of the fakes, they come from that area as well. You wouldn't expect them to come from anywhere else. And again, we have to take into account that the gangs in the middle are those who are the most responsible, beside the traffic, the demand. Is there demand? Yes, there's demand. I have bought once, I must admit, and you also have bought once if you are honest with yourself. So we all bought somewhere something. Somebody is even addicted to it. That may be as well. But it is what it is. The demand is there. You cut off one and you get two others are emerging in order to take that place. Now, that is what I would like to say as the existence of what we are in. We are in for a long-term fight, not only, but we will have also, and we will have always, like the narco-traffics, we will always have to live with some fake. Some fake which comes a long way, I would say. What was it with the United States, who is now, don't make intellectual property infringements. China, you are very bad in that. Well, the United States has done it for years and years, from copying from Europe after the World War, or just before World War II. And probably we have copied from China. What is the gunpowder? Well, we have made wars of it for getting the gunpowder, and we never paid for it. So that is the existent situation of the counterfeiting industry, a very important industry in the world, present everywhere, and well organized, deep pockets, well linked probably to customs, probably to some politicians, probably to local areas, local authorities, and so on. We will have a look at it more closely in the next video. Thanks for tuning in.